Yo, what is up, guys? Shinobi here, back again with another reaction. And honestly, I'm gonna be real. I just scrolled across this. Oh, hold on. First, my mic is peaking. Holy crap! But I just scrolled across this, and um, apparently the supports are going on strike. I didn't know about this. I didn't know what was going on. I saw clips here and there, but like apparently some dude called Necros came out talking nonsense, talk about how the healer is the easiest role and how all healers are garbage, and then all the healers basically said, bet we're getting tired of all you DPS, like I guess it's Spider-Man specifically, talking mad shit. So we're gonna just, see how you do without a healer. And now it's like this whole strike going on, and it's like, yeah, that's all I know. That's literally the most I know about this. But either way, let's go ahead and get straight into this. I don't play Marvel Rivals, but I do play Pokemon Unite. So as a healer myself playing Eldegoss, I do know how important healers are, especially in a game where it's 5v5 or 6v6. Because without those healers, if your opponent's team has a healer and you don't, 9 times out of 10, you're getting your ass handed to you, especially if they play a lot of tanks and some healers and they know what they're doing. Yeah, you're if you're just playing a 5 DPS man team, yeah, you're beyond cooked. You're beyond cooked. I'm letting you know that right now. If anybody has played any MOBA or any game like that where you have to play at the team and you need healers, yeah. If you One thing that I've learned playing MOBAs is you never, I repeat, never insult your healers, especially if you're the DPS being stupid and running in thinking you could solo the whole entire team. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this video. But yeah, no, I find this shit funny because I'm just like, what did you expect to happen? You can't just talk shit to your healers and then expect them to be like, oh, it's all good. Yeah, no, that's not how this shit works. Not in the slightest. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this.
God, y'all done messed around and pissed off the healing community, and now the healers are on strike. Dear God, and this is why we can't have nice things.
Shit, nobody about I must say nobody can have nice things out here, bro. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. But
And
yeah,
today we're
here
going
we
to talk
go.
about something that is just, it's taken over the Reddit and Twitter Marvel Rival community. And these are things I like to cover a lot of times just to, put some type of, because a lot of different people watch my content. We have good people that watch it that want to come in here and constantly yell skill issue. We have medium players, medium level players, low skill players, and everything in between. So I like to cover these topics simply because, as an older, like more chill guy who, I got a mortgage, wife, kids, all that kind of stuff. So
Facts. We got a job out
I
here.
feel like I have a different perspective than a lot of the people in the community, and that's not a jab at anyone, like saying like your age or anything. It's just simply as you get older in life, you start to kind of have a different outlook on different things and a different perspective, and I like to provide that perspective. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it, and for a little bit of context too. But before I actually,
By the way, you see how the healer's keeping the Thor alive? Right? And the Thor is actually staying in range of his healer so that the healer can actually, do the job that the healer is supposed to do. Yeah, if you're like a Spider-Man or any of those DPS that just keeps running in trying to 1v5, whether it's in Pokemon Unite or this, you're the idiot, bro. I don't care what anybody says. You are in the, if we're talking Pokemon Unite, you are that Cinderace who thinks they can solo the whole team and gets his ass handed to him at Rayquaza.
get into that, I just want to say, starting to promote the Discord. We're getting a lot of people in there, a lot of high skill players, medium skill players, low players, everything in between. We're trying to build a positive community where you can find people to play. If EOMM is hitting you really hard, then you want to be able to find some people to link up with and join. And
I need
a community of people.
Before we get into, like, I he's probably gotta talk about it later, but I need somebody to like make a anime 5v5 or 6v6 game, bro. I need it. I'd play the hell out of that. I'd play the absolute hell out of that. And we need the elo system to be like leagues, because otherwise it's good. Like Pokemon Unite, its main problem is the elo system is kind of iffy, and how you get to masters and then you have to get masters 1600 to be considered good, or even 1800. And we have a draft mode now where they have bans or whatnot, but it didn't used to be that way. It's all messed up. I think that, with Pokemon Unite, they've done a better job now, but oh my gosh, before it was like anybody, you could have a 44% win rate and still make it. It was insane, but I think now you need at least a 49% win rate, which is better, but even then, there's some people who just get carried and whatever. And not to mention, for whatever reason, with Pokemon Unite, you'll win a bunch of matches, and then they'll put you with a bunch of people who've been on a losing streak, and you gotta carry them even though they're making stupid decisions, and it's like you just lose elo for that. It's mad annoying, but hey, it is what it is. You would think you would get put on a team with a bunch of people who are climbing with you until you lose, but I guess Pokemon Unite's backwards. I don't know.
are into the same things you are and stuff like that, go ahead and feel free to join the Discord. It's in my channel bio, so you can just click that link and join it. Also, too, you'll be able to have a little bit more of a direct access to be able to ask questions. We allow people to do self promo in there. There's a whole section.
I say Thor went hella deep. Holy, where's his team at?
Go ahead and share your
Let's say,
content.
there we go. I'm about to say, where's his team
stuff
at?
like that. You have that option. It's all types of stuff in there. So just feel free to join that. But let's go ahead and get into the video.
Ah, damn, he's surrounded.
Necros,
Healer's keeping this man alive though. Jesus.
Now, I also just want to preface and say that anytime that I bring up a creator, there is no beef, there's no drama. We don't do that here on this channel in regards to other content creators. Everybody's allowed to have their opinions and their thoughts and stuff. I just simply talk about it.
Hey, everybody's allowed to have their opinions and whatnot, but if the opinion's wrong, then you're gonna get cooked. You're gonna get cooked, bro. You out here saying that a healer role is easy and you only play Spider-Man. You don't play any healers at all. Like, you never even played the role. You talk about how healers are carried. Bro, if you didn't have a healer on your team, you would be carried. You be getting cooked. It's the other way around, bro. Like, without a like, what? Name me a game, a 5v5 game that's in a team format like this where the healer isn't important at all. Name me one, because if you guys can name me one, then I'll say, or I'll agree with that take. But until then, Necros is getting his ass. I don't even know Necros. All I know is he used to be an Overwatch player. He apparently cheated in fucking Overwatch using Genji, though, to be honest, I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've heard. Somebody let me know down in the comments if that is a true thing or not. But then he came over to here, he played the open beta and all over the place. That's why he was apparently so good with Spider-Man. And then started talking shit about healers. That's all I know about the dude. That's it. That's all I know about the dude. So you guys can tell me down below. But as far as his take about healers and how they're carried and has the easiest role to play, yeah, he's smoking something. Because a bunch of people now are complaining about how there are no healers now because the healers went on strike, and now this is a bunch of DPS. It's like when you play Pokemon Unite and then you're running the one healer, and then everybody else wants to run DPS, no tanks, no nothing. It's like, bro, holy crap, what do you want me to do?
Give my 2 cents on what I think about that particular topic, but I respect Necros. He's a great player. As someone who mains Spider-Man a lot of times, I play a lot of other players. Don't worry. I mean, a lot of other characters. Don't worry. It's not just a one-trick Spider-Man type of thing. It's just that I enjoy playing Spider-Man, but usually I'm ranked and stuff. I tend to play whatever the team needs. I'm more of a flex player. Nonetheless, though, as someone who likes to play Spider-Man and predominantly does, I have a lot of respect for Necros. I'm
not gonna lie, flex players are the goats because they don't only play one role. They know how to play their main role, but they also got a side role. Like for me, I play Eldegoss a lot. You guys could probably tell from all my Pokemon Unite videos, I love playing Eldegoss, especially with my friend. We know how to make the healers work. We can even turn them into sub DPSs sometimes. But my main role is Absol. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna, that doesn't mean I'm gonna make my team lose by playing a freaking Absol when we already have a speedster. Like, I will pull out the tank, I'll pull out the healer. I'll make sure that our team has our best chance of winning instead of being a one-trick pony and only running Spider-Man. Or in this case, Pokemon Unite, need any attacker in the game.
Maybe not necessarily all of his takes on particular things, but that's neither here nor there. But I do respect him as a player. He apparently was one of the goats of Overwatch. I didn't play Overwatch as much, so I don't know as much about that. But I do believe that's where he got his origin, his start. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comments. But that's to my knowledge where he came from. Nonetheless, though, he has a very big audience, a very big following. So when he says things, a lot of people either get very offended about it or they take it to heart, and everything in between. So the other day, or however long ago it was, he had made a comment saying something along the lines of, and I can't find the actual clip, but I did read through a lot of the comments to try to kind of gather what most of the people were saying and stuff, and what they had quoted him as saying. So he had made a comment about healers and saying that a lot of healers and supports are apparently, like he said, his words, not mine, that they're brain dead and that they're boosted, stuff like that. And apparently this comment was taken out of context. Now, I don't know if they're saying it was taken out of context because he was joking when he said it, or because he was talking to a particular person. Maybe he had a rough day where he was just getting absolutely decimated and he felt like his healers weren't healing enough. I don't know what happened with that. Like I said, I can't find the actual clip where he said it, but this is something that people are talking about. Nonetheless, some of the people said that it was taken out of context, and that he basically had said at some point too that healers were, one of the hardest roles, or at least it was very complicated, something to that effect, right? And people, we live in a day and age where people clip farm. They if you took a lot of the things that I say, and you took the context away and you just clipped a particular part and you fed that out there, into the world, then a lot of stuff that I said would sound very crazy.
That is true. I can give him that. But from what I'm hearing, it ain't a clip farm from what I'm hearing, but we'll have to see, as the video goes on. But even still, to say that healers are boosted or that healers, brain dead is beyond crazy. Like, you playing healers like you clocking into your 9 to 5, keeping your whole team alive, bro. Especially if you're the only healer, which is what happens a lot, apparently, with this game. It's like, you're the only healer on your team. You ain't getting no help. And then you got the DP, you got the DPS Spider-Man running into the back line by himself, no support, getting one tapped. I'm not saying that's Necros, but I see that a lot with Spider-Mans, or I see a lot of people complaining that with any DPS character, that you'd be having some people trying to run in there thinking they can 1v5 the whole team, and then they get killed and then want to blame the healer for why they, died. It's like, I see that a lot. Even in Pokemon Unite, I see some stupid shit like that, where I'll be getting pinged in Pokemon Unite talking about thanks when they're the idiots running in by themselves trying to 1v5 a whole team. Like, come on, bro. That's all on you. You can't blame your healer or anybody else for how stupid you're playing.
And context is very important. That's why I'm including it. But the point is that the majority of people don't get that context, or they don't do enough investigation. They just kind of see a headline or a title, or, like I said, a clip where, someone just says, they take one small part of what someone says and they just run with that, right? Nonetheless, he said that, and, people are starting to get tired of the constant healers, I would say, are starting to get, tired of just like the constant berating that they're getting in game.
Yeah, which I wouldn't be surprised. Like, once again, the healers be out here putting in the most work, and then you got the DPSs running in like idiots and dying, and then trying to blame the healers for why they're dying when they're going 2-17. Like, what are you talking about? We can't help you if you go out of our line of sight. Talk about where my heal's at. You're dead. You tried to 1v5 the whole team. Once again, outside of Necros, once again, this is in any game, bro. Or at least I don't know. I don't think you see that a lot in League of Legends, but like Pokemon Unite, and apparently in this game, you see a lot of idiots running around talking about where my heal's at. Trying to blame the healer for why they're dying. Meanwhile, you look at the footage, and they got people running in by themselves, trying to take on the whole team. No supports, no tanks nearby, no nothing, just dead. Like, and then they want to be talking about some where my heal's at. Like, bro, you died. You decided to run in by yourself as a DPS with no HP. Like, what did you expect to happen?
Constantly being told that they're not healing enough and that they're not doing this or whatever, and DPS thinking that they're the main character. And I'm speaking from
it's main character syndrome. That's all it is.
Of what I'm hearing.
It's main character syndrome.
And I want to say that I started out the game as a healer just because, I'm coming from playing FPS and stuff like that. This is like my first real, I played a little bit of Overwatch, but this is my first real experience, like really consistently playing a hero shooter. So when I first started playing, I was a healer because I was like, I'll leave tanking and DPS to people that understand the mechanics of the game a lot better than myself. So I started out as a healer, became, pretty decent at healing, got up to a decent rank last season, maining Cloak and Dagger and Invisible Woman.
Damn, they were on his ass.
I've dabbled with a couple of the other healers as well, but those were like my primary ones that I pretty much rely on. And, this season I went more into DPS and into tanking and stuff, and even a little bit more toward the end of last season. But still, though, the point I'm making is that, I've played all the different roles. So what I'm about to say is not going to be like I'm on the healer side, I'm on DPS side, or on tanks. Here we try to be, as unbiased as possible and try to just think about things from everyone's perspective instead of only thinking about it from whatever we feel like is our own perspective or what's most relevant to us or whatever the case is. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But the thing that
unless I don't chase them. Yeah, you stay on the point.
I'll give you an example. The other day, I was, going back and forth with somebody. You know how it is. You win a match or you lose a match, and you start going back and forth. You guys are smack talking each other in chat. You're sitting here saying, "Oh, you're boosted," or "Oh, I did the best of my team even though we lost." And if I would have had better teammates, I would have absolutely obliterated your team.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real. That happens, but like honestly, look at the leaderboard. If you're out there, especially if you're a DPS going like 2-17, like you're just in the negative, and you ain't doing nothing. You got no right to talk at all, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. The numbers don't lie. The numbers do not lie, man. And if you can see on my screen that I'm out here either tanking the most damage as a tank or healing the most damage, but that you as a DPS ain't doing your job at all, you cannot be running around talking about I could have done better if you did this, bro. Your whole entire, the game says otherwise. The game says that you were out there running in and dying a bunch and not staying with your team. So yeah, while there's sometimes some banter going on, at the same time, you gotta look at the numbers. You have to look at the numbers. And then even better yet, look back on your gameplay. What were you doing? Where you're in the line of sight of your healer? Were you, behind your tank so that you can actually tank some damage for you so that you can, as a DPS, do what you need to do? Like, were you doing those kind of things? Or were you just running in, trying to get behind the freaking team and, trying 1v5? What were you doing? That's like, it all comes down to the gameplay, with the footage and your numbers. That's all, because the numbers will tell the story at the end of the day, and so will the gameplay.
Teammates, you had a healer pocketing you the whole time, so it wasn't really, fair for the 1v1s, whatever the case may be. You guys are going back and forth. I was going back and forth with a guy.
Because I don't know about you, but me personally, as healer, I'm keeping my tanks alive, man.
I grew up in Modern Warfare 2 lobbies.
Like, I'll keep my DPS alive too, but like, especially if they're playing right, I'm keeping the tanks alive.
I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was something to the effect of like, you guys are calling each other trash, but we're all trash, or something like that. They were just trying to kind of like, put out the flame that was going on between us, right? And
I mean, the healer might have been right.
Immediately just jumps on the healer and starts going, "Yo, why are you even talking? You're at the bottom of the food chain. You're a heal bot."
He's a healer, bro. He's supposed to be at the bottom of the food chain. In fact, it'd be embarrassing if you'd be having the matches that I'd be having in Pokemon Unite, where I'm the healer and I got more kills than our freaking jungler, and that happens a lot. That happened, bro. I could go back into some of the games where I've out damaged or straight up MVP'd a game with Eldegoss, a healer. Like, I was out here DPSing with a healer. Like, I've had so many games like that. You're supposed to be bottom of the leaderboard as a healer. Like, if you're doing your job correctly, or if you're only supposed to be doing your job and not the DPS's job, you should be the bottom of the leaderboard. You should not have the most kills. You should not be having the most damage taken. Your job is to heal your team. Like, what do you mean you're at the bottom of the... What do you expect me to do? To get some kills out here? Like, I'm healing you, where I'm supposed to be.
Just stick to heal body and don't, let the adults talk or whatever. And, this isn't the first time that I've seen that. This is a pretty constant thing where, it's the same thing where even in my comment section, a lot of times people will constantly say, if I make the point where I say like, hey, I put out 40K healing and, I had the most eliminations and all this other stuff. People always find a way to like put that down. They'll say, oh, well, you got them off of assists. It's like, no, the assists are the assists. The eliminations and the final hit should not be higher than like DPS if I'm having to DPS.
Yeah, I'm about to say, at that point, these people can't read numbers because it clearly says assist and kills. You can't read numbers, I'm sorry to tell you, but like, the numbers are right there. When it says kills and assist, if he got more kills and assists, I mean, can you, like, come on, bro, it's basic. It's, jeez, man. Gotta have me crashing out.
And, like I said...
And I don't even play this game, bro.
This fan base, I find it interesting because, or not fan base, but this player base is very interesting because, I came from Call of Duty. I've always expected Call of Duty to be toxic. My first my first experience playing Call of Duty was the early I'm as old as dirt. So it's like I've been playing Call of Duty since its inception. And, people always reference and talk
Jeff
about,
got a pretty decent angle. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I just got a phone call. Nonetheless, though, the point that I was making is that people always reference back to the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies and stuff and how toxic those were. And if you grew up with that, that was just what you understood gaming to be and all that kind of stuff.
I must say, Thor needs to run here. I don't know where his team went.
And stuff. It wasn't like it was directly at teammates and stuff. And I've started to see over the years how it's transformed into people having these massive egos when they play video games. And people always had egos in video games. I mean, that's a tale as old as time, right? And that just, you can really apply that to a lot of different things, not just video games. It's just people are egotistical, period, right? Very few people that are actually just like team players and kind of selfless. Most people think that they're the main character. It's very hard for them to see outside of themselves and think outside of themselves.
You mainly see this because everybody wants to get a highlight reel. Everybody wants to be the main character, especially if they're DPS, which is why you see a lot of DPSs out here talking the most shit. It's because they're all up there trying to be the ones who are the highlights. They're trying to be the ones, who got the famous clip that everybody shares around and everything like that. It's one of those things, with social media and everything like that, that kind of causes that little behavior. That and, obviously wanting to be the best, which isn't a bad thing, but when you want to be the best so bad to the point where now you're trying to, like, make other people feel bad for your garbage performance, now it's like, okay, now what are we talking about?
But, like I said, though, I'm starting to see more, like, toxicity toward your teammates, which is
Yeah,
really
which
weird
is
to me. I don't understand
crazy.
that because if you're on a team and you're
It's
playing
a
together,
team game.
why would you try to put each other down instead of trying to build each other up and then put that animosity that you have outward toward the enemy? Like that, I understand. You know, being toxic
I must say
toward the enemy
The
and trying
Thor
to
went
jump. I mean,
deep,
that's
deep
just
on
one
that one.
part of gaming, right? Like I feel like that's a healthy amount of it. But there's always like a Goldilocks level to stuff where it's, you know, you don't want to go too far over or too far under. You know, there's a level where you can be too toxic, and then there's, you know, you're not saying anything at all, where people are just trash talking to you. It's however you personally choose to do it. I don't encourage any of it. You know, it's just I do what
That
I do.
Wolverine
Like I
strat
said,
looks
I'm from a
kind of
different
nuts.
generation,
I'm
so
not
I have
gonna
a
lie
little
to you.
thicker skin
Damn.
and tend to not
Pull your
be
opponent
offended
back. That's like
easily by
Umbreon.
stuff. Whereas other people, you know, they're a little more sensitive. You know, they get offended by stuff, whatever. You know, some people that are in between that, whatever the case is. You know, nonetheless, though, you know, the point that I wanted to make is that if you have never played a particular role, like let's say you're a DPS and you only play DPS and you don't know what a healer has to go through, then it's kind of hard to like for anybody to take that seriously because, you know, I'm sure anybody who's listening to this who's a healer, you've seen like you've been healing and there's like a Moon Knight or you know, I don't know, like a Psylocke or someone who's like a mile away from everyone else, and they're like hiding behind a wall, pinging that they need heals when the whole team is fighting on the point, and it's like, what do you want us to do? Like teleport to you? Like we don't possess that. We can't heal you through walls. There's not like some magic button that we click where we can just heal you, or the tank that completely dives into the
What in the world is that freaking? What is Venom doing, bro? What the Venom doing?
enemy team, and they're getting
What
shot
the
by
Venom doing,
everyone
bro?
on
What
the
is
entire
this?
team, and they don't realize that you can't out heal. One person can't out heal 6 people all hitting them at once at point blank range. It's just not. That's not how that works, right? And it's the same thing. Like I said, you know, you got to think about it from everybody's perspective. The same thing applies to other roles, right? If you're a tank and you're holding the enemy team back, and your healers are hiding around corners and stuff like that because they're scared to push up or whatever the case is, you know, all these things, you know, they affect everything. So it's like it's better to play every role so that you have a better understanding of it. You know.
Yep. Once again, I said it before in the beginning of this video, but if you know how to play every role, you're a better player than majority just who only play one role. Because let's say you're playing in a team, right? And your team has, you know, a better DPS than you, but you know, and you play DPS, but you also know how to play every other role, and you probably even know how to play those support roles better. Then it's like now you not only know how to DPS plays, but then on top of that, you have the other roles you can play too. Plus, because you know how the DPS plays or how that certain character plays, you can know it's like matchup knowledge. You can kind of know what to expect if your opponent's playing that same role, so you can help your team out. It's just better overall. Like it's a combination of matchup knowledge, just knowing how to play the role, and then not to mention just having a pocket pick that you can just have outside of just one thing. It's just like it's really good, really really good. Which again, why I play many roles myself in the games that I do play that have a lot of team synergy and whatnot. Like I'm not just playing the DPS, as fun as that may be. It's also fun to play the healer because it's like you get to keep your team alive, bro, and you can even get some kills here and there too. Depends on what game. You know, once again, you've seen my clips with Elder Gods, bro. I be going crazy with them.
Not better than anyone else. If everyone decided to insta-lock DPS or insta-lock a tank or whatever the case is, or even vice versa, like let's say it's everybody wants to just play healers and nobody wants to play anything else, right? Like DPS or tank, then, you know, it creates a problem. Like even though in this game there is no role queue, so it gives you the freedom to be able to have whatever you want. Lately in ranked, I've been seeing a lot of people run 3 tanks, 1 DPS, and 2 healers. I've seen,
Which is actually like if you're 3 tanks, 2 DPS, 1. I mean, was it 3 tanks, 2 healers, and 1 DPS? It's actually that could go insane because your DPS could be once again your jungler, the person who's supposed to get in, do crit damage, you know, get out, and then your tanks can do some crazy stuff if they know what they're doing. Then you got the healers keeping the team alive. That's a crazy comp. That's a crazy comp, and I sometimes see that in, you know, once again Pokemon Unite. Like if you get a really good team, 2 healers. Well, I guess this is a 5v5 with Pokemon Unite. So 1 speedster, 2 tanks, you know, or hell, better yet, because you have all rounders. So you got like 1 all rounder, 1 tank, 2 healers slash like sub DPS. I don't know. Like something like that could be absolutely insane. And once again, some of the things can act as DPS too, so it's possible.
three tanks, three healers. And then some people like the old school Overwatch formula where it's two tanks, two DPS, two healers. And everything in between. And a lot of times people would say, oh, well, we need this particular comp, right? And then you would change it up and do your own thing. I've seen 3 DPS, 1 tank, 2 healers, right? So you never know what the outcome is going to be and what's going to work against like that enemy team. But the overall point is that
Not gonna lie, if you're doing 3 DPS,
like
2
every
tank,
role
1
is
heal,
complicated. I've played all of the roles and they all have like their strengths and
or 2
weaknesses. As
heal,
a tank,
your
whole point
DPS
is
better
to
be going
make
crazy.
space. But you have to understand that if your team is getting dived in the back line, you have to turn around for a second. It's really easy as a tank to just start sitting here going, "Oh, I'm gonna swing my hammer as Thor," and I know you guys are gonna make the "that's what she said" jokes. Go ahead and get it out. Nonetheless,
That's
you guys swing
crazy.
the hammer around. You're sitting here taking out their healers, working on the DPS, or you're sitting here 1v1ing another tank, whatever. And the whole time, Spider-Man or Iron Fist, Black Panther's in the back line destroying them. And you're like, well, "Where's my heals, bro? Your heals are."
I'm about to say your healer's dead, brother.
They're fighting for their lives. Like no one's helping.
Fighting for the lives in the back line.
Meanwhile, if you try to do the same thing to the enemy's healers, they're jumping on it immediately, right?
That's why, as a healer, me personally, I always stick to my tank, bro. I always stick to my tank because there's always a jungler waiting to either take out your DPS or take out your, healer. They don't usually go after the tanks that much.
That can be chopped up to them communicating, not communicating, whatever. There's a lot of different reasons why things like that happen. But the point that I'm making is that
good Scarlet Witch all right there. He only got 1 off of it though.
Make it hard. As a healer, you can't just sit there and heal bot. You have to know if you're Cloak and Dagger. You have to know when to blind the enemy to give that damage boost to you and your teammates and stuff, and to just blind the enemy so it's harder for them to respond and see what's going on around them and make decisions and stuff. But you have to know. That's why it's called a strategist. You have to strategize. You have to know when to heal. If your teammates are all fully healed and you're just sitting there spamming heals at them, even though they're fully healed, but they're fighting somebody, and you just apply that extra little bit of damage to get them up out of there. You got to be able to do that. But same thing with DPS and tanks. You have to be aware that your healers need help sometimes. And I know a lot of people will say, well, a good healer doesn't need help. A lot of times they do. Sometimes you can figure it out for yourself and make it work, whatever. But then sometimes there's just people, as someone like a Spider-Man main, for example, my main thing is to go after the healers. That is like my main job. When I'm on a team, I immediately find a way to get around their backside, take out the healers, or even if I'm not taking out the healers, I have to make their life so miserable and distract them so much that they cannot physically focus on healing because they have to fight for their lives. It's just as simple as that. And like I said, it's the same thing with every role. DPS has its struggles. You know how many times I've been playing a DPS, and last night I was playing as Psylocke on a team, and I was like at 2 HP. We had just taken out the final tank, and the healer, I stood right in front, I literally walked over to him, stood right in front of him. It was a visible woman. They move out of the way and continue to heal the tank. And when I turn around, the tank is fully healed. We're just standing there on the point waiting for it to be captured. And even the tank was kind of looking like, it was a Hulk. He's just looking like, why?
Yeah, like that right there is what you call a generational fumble. Because even as a healer, you still got to do DPS. Like if your team is still all full health, then at that point, your healing turns into like sub DPS, like mini DPS. That's kind of how I play. Like once again, when I play Eldegoss, I've kind of turned I've kind of turned my Eldegoss into like a mage / healer because the DPSs on the team that I be getting sometimes are straight garbage. So sometimes I have to carry as a healer. Sounds crazy, but it happens. But it's like sometimes you just gotta go like that. It just happens. It just does. Like it's like once again, if your team's alive too. That's your job. It's kind of like sub DPS, kind of just put out some damage here and there. Like, especially if your team's already at full health. Like, just put out some damage here and there.
Why are you still healing me? I'm healed. This guy right here has no health. I end up having to get a health pack around the corner. It's stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying is not every healer is perfect. Some people heal and maybe they don't want to heal. Maybe they're just locked in on that tank and they just think as long as they heal bot the tank and just keep feeding them heals that they'll somehow win and like, well, the DPS can figure it out. And, when you're playing someone like Spider-Man, that's completely understandable. I don't expect healers to heal me when I'm playing Spider-Man because I'm never standing still.
Yeah, that guy's always flying all over the place.
It's almost like impossible unless you're, Invisible Woman or Cloak and Dagger to be able to.
But even with Spider-Man, like if you're smart with Spider-Man, you'll go in, do your thing, go back, allow your healer to see you. If you got damage on you, heal you up so that you can go back in and do the same thing over and over again. That's how that works. Is what I do with Absol. I run in, get my crit damage out, get a couple of kills, get out. If the battle's, still getting drawn out, let my healer heal me, or I go back to base and heal myself. And then I get back in there. That's kind of what my role is, especially if I'm playing a fast speedster who needs to get in and get out. That's my job. So even then, as I'm not getting as much heals as everybody else who's fighting in the main fight, I still need to make sure that I have a good check on my own health and see, okay, can I get in here? Can I get out? Can I, am I gonna get stunned by something? That kind of thing. I still want to be in range of my healer just in case the battle does get drawn out or gets sticky.
To just, like sometimes the Invisible Woman puts a shield up on me while I'm in mid swing or something in the air, but even then I'm only near it for half of a millisecond. So it provides very little anything. I even tell the healers, like, don't worry about me. I know where all the health packs are. I can immediately, swing over to a health pack the second that I become weak.
Nice kill right there.
Trying to heal me is like a waste of time versus the people that don't have the same level of mobility, which are most of the people in the whole entire game, right?
Which, once again, is why I see it's, like, once again, the Spider-Man mains, nothing against you, but I find it crazy how y'all be asking for heals when you be diving the back line 5 people deep by yourself. Not to mention the healer can't even get a lock on you because he can't see you. Like, I find it crazy how y'all be blaming the healers sometimes for why you keep dying when you're out there doing crazy stuff and he can't even get a lock on you. Like, bro, what are we talking about? I can already hear people talking, oh, it's called aim, bro. How the frick am I supposed to be aiming when you're always there flying around like the yellow flash of the leaf or freaking Ichigo flash stepping all over the place, bro? Like, nobody's going to be able to keep track of that at all.
So focus on them. But for, a character like Psylocke, sometimes if I'm on the point fighting with you and I'm weak, just stop healing someone else for 2 seconds, put some heals on me. And that's the thing is, like, most healers have some option, like a secondary healing, like Cloak and Dagger. You have a bubble, Invisible Woman, you have a shield. I'll stand there for a split second behind it and keep putting out damage while I get, get some type of health and then keep it moving, But, it's things like that. And like I said, if everybody just kind of like plays different roles and pays attention to everybody and actually stops trying to think that there's some type of, like that one guy said, some food chain in the game. No, I guarantee you, if healers really go on a strike and there really are no healers, you will immediately feel it.
Oh, no, you will feel it because you're going to die faster. The reason why, like, just watching this gameplay itself, the reason why a lot of these guys, DPS, tank, whatever, be staying alive is because of the healer. Without them, they'd be dead a long time ago, especially the DPS, because you only got, like, so much health, and you're, like, squishy as hell. Squishy as hell. Like, if everybody targets you, you're done without a healer. I mean, you're done with the healer even way, but you're definitely done without one.
There's a reason why there's different roles in the game and why it is a team-based game. Everybody has to like fill some type of role and everybody has to do it. And it's the same thing for healers. If your DPS aren't able to DPS because you're not healing them, you're just sitting there focusing on a tank or whatever the case may be, or you're spending more time trying to DPS as the healer than healing when you could do both, but like you gotta balance it out. But like I said, if everybody doesn't fill their role, if everyone doesn't fit their role and work together as a team, do you know how many matches I've known were going to be a W before it even started because I could see them arguing in the chat on the enemy team?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Hell, do you know, same thing with Pokemon Unite. Whenever I see that, especially if I'm in lane, and I see that they're fighting over their jungle, I already know it's going to be a lock. Unless we somehow fumble on our end, if I see them fighting over their own jungle, like you see 2 people fighting over jungle because they want to be jungler, and they both got big egos, and they want to be the carry. If I see both of them fighting over jungle, especially if I'm jungler, oh, I'm making easy eats out of you, bro. I'm making easy eats out of you. That's just free. That's just a free elo right there.
Spending going back and forth with each other, that's time you could be spent working together.
Yep.
And people want to sit back and say, oh, well, the healers are a sensitive bunch. Well, let me ask you this. If I walk into your job right now and I tell you, hey, man, listen, just flip my fries, man. Don't even look at me. Don't talk.
Put the fries in the bag, man. Walking to McDonald's and just talking to the employees like that. Yeah, put my fries in the bag. Where my burger at, bro? Like, you're going to get tired of that eventually.
Are you going to want to make fries for me and not spit on them? Or do it at all? No, you're not.
Yeah.
So don't sit here and act like, because it's a video game, that it's any different because you're sitting behind a monitor or a screen or whatever it is you're using, that, you feel more comfortable that you can just sit back and say things to people and expect them to just take it on the chin and be like, yeah, whatever. He just said I was at the bottom of the food chain and that I was a bot and all this other stuff and, that I'm boosted and everything else. So, why would I even heal him?
Once again, the way I see it is, if I'm so boosted, I'd like to see you play healer. Let me not play healer. Let me play a DPS, and let me see how well you play healer. That's all right, but you're never going to see that. You're never going to see that.
People are people. We all have a breaking point. We all got emotions. We all got feelings, and if we don't like something that you're doing, we'll tend to, retaliate.
It's not even a feeling thing either. Like, it's like one of those things where it's like, bro, if I'm so boosted as a healer, if I'm so If my job is so easy for you, why don't you do it? Because it sounds like to me that, like, for me as a healer, according to you, just because I play healer, I'm getting W's, bro. Like, just because I'm playing healer, I'm just out here getting W's. If it's that easy, then why aren't you doing it? It's not even an emotional thing. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, if I'm doing all of this, that, and the third, if I'm so boosted, then why come out here and prove it? Please show me how it's done. Otherwise,
in some way or another. And how do healers retaliate? By not healing. No different than I've seen DPS throw a match because somebody took their favor or their main, or because somebody asked them to switch.
bro, I've seen that. So, bro, even in Pokemon Unite, early days of Pokemon Unite, I've seen that so many times. You take their freaking jungler, like let's say it's the newest jungler who came out. I saw that so many times where somebody would take their jungler and then they just would sit in queue the whole entire time and just do nothing. They wouldn't even play the game. It'd be a 4v5. I've had to win a game like that before.
Because they were 1-9 as an Iron Fist. It clearly just wasn't working, and they're like, oh, well, it's worked for me in other matches. It ain't working in this one. Same thing with a tank. Maybe you're playing a group, but you're getting diffed by another group. Switch to another tank. You know, if you're playing Thor and you're getting absolutely dumpstered on, which happens. I have some games where I absolutely destroy as Thor. Even if I'm a solo tank, I destroy. Everybody else just sits back and watches while I'm just sitting here just running amok, you know? And sometimes I pick Thor and I just get absolutely destroyed. It just depends on the game and who I'm going against. And if you think if I'm getting destroyed as Thor, I'm not going to switch. Same thing with Spider-Man. I love playing Spider-Man. But let's say I'm playing Spider-Man and everybody starts to counter me. I switch. If I'm playing a healer and that healer just keeps getting dived, I don't like playing Loki. He's not really my preferable healer. But if I keep getting dived, you know who I go to? Loki. He was made to like stop people from diving you. You know what I'm saying? You can just press a button and all of a sudden people have to like completely change their whole entire game plan now. You know, like you can make multiple clones of yourself and just switch between them. You know,
Yeah, you cooked them right there.
There's a reason why there's different characters with different abilities for different situations, and it's okay. You know, but you know, I'm gonna wrap this video up. You know, but I do think it's interesting though that there is like this. You know, I think Boulder, he's another content creator for Marvel Rivals and was for Overwatch, I believe, as well. But you know, he had said that you know this is like the great healer exodus of 2025. And you know, me personally, you know, I don't, like I said, I got extremely thick skin. I don't, somebody tells me any of this stuff, I'm just gonna talk back, you know, like and get mine off, you know. But it's like,
hey, if anybody tells me that kind of shit, the way I see it is I'll just pull up the leaderboard, bro. I won't even have to say a word. I'll just pull up the leaderboard and be like, you know, you're talking all this, but why do I got more kills with Eldegoss than you got with Cinderace, or, you know, why I got more kills as Eldegoss and yet you're out here playing, you know, Decidueye or any of these, you know, DPS that are supposed to be getting these kills. Like, come on now, the numbers don't lie.
a lot of people, they hear this and they just go, what is the point? What is the point of sitting here healing people and dealing with getting dived in the back line? You know, because like I said, as tanks, you don't worry about that stuff. As DPS, a lot of times, you don't have to worry about that stuff. But as a healer, you know, that's your life. Trying to constantly heal people, and all of a sudden you got Black Panther, Iron Fist, and Spider-Man all up in your back line just going crazy, just picking on you and stuff. And it's not a fun experience a lot of times, only to have your teammates tell you like, yo, I'm not getting healed enough. And it's like, sir, can you turn around every once in a blue moon and
Yeah.
maybe assist in just the slightest way, since I'm assisting you by like healing you?
Like, honestly, I'm being real. I'm just going off of what I'm seeing here. If I'm a DPS, especially if there's like 3 DPS, 2 tanks, and 1 healer, as one of the DPS, my job specifically, if I was to play one of them, depends on what character I'm playing, is I would stay near the tank and the healer on purpose. And the only reason I say that is because I would expect at least one person from the enemy team to try and dive me. So I'm going to use the healer as bait on purpose so that when I even see a DPS pop up trying to go around and gank my healer, I'm on their ass. But that's just me. It also depends on your team comp.
Fighting for my life a lot of times, you know, so, you know, there's that. But let me know in the comments, though, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the healers are just taking it too personal? Have you noticed it or seen it? Me personally, I have been seeing it the last couple of days. Like, I went from last season where it seemed like a lot of people were constantly insta-locking, like, healers. And, you know, that's what kind of got me to stop saying, you know, it was like, okay, well, you know, obviously I can move on from healing and start DPSing and tanking because there's plenty of healers. But in the last couple of days, it's been like, I'm lucky if I get one person that wants to heal. And
yeah, hey, once again, he said it himself, Shrek. The moment people stop playing healers, you're going to feel it.
Even in rank matches and stuff. So I have been noticing it myself. But let me know what you guys think. Like I said, do you think they're taking it too personal? Have you been noticing it? Do you think what do you think? Whatever.
Here's what I think. While the strike is petty, it's understandable. And honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all. If there's one thing that you never do in a team game is talk shit about your healers. Never, bro. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, the healer, because they're the ones keeping you alive, is probably number one or number two on the importance list of who you guys need to keep alive. Like, obviously, the whole team is important, but when it comes to like importance, in my opinion, the healer is just like up there, bro. You have to keep them alive, especially if they're really good, bro. The healer, having a really good healer on your team will just make games so much easier than without one, bro. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, as somebody who's played healer, DPS, tank, all around us, because we're talking about Pokemon Unite and whatnot. I'm telling you, bro, having one healer versus a team that doesn't have a healer, or having a healer, like not having a healer on your team versus going against a team that does, it's just like it's night and day, man.
Whatever it is you think, let me know in the comments. I try to respond to everybody, but sometimes the comments get, they become a little bit much, and I am just one person. I don't have multiple people that run my channel or anything. So, once it surpasses a certain point, I can't. But that's another reason why you should join the Discord, because that is an easier way to, directly tag me and be able to ask questions and stuff like that, or give feedback on things, or whatever the case is. And like I said, trying to build a community here. I really do love hearing from you guys, even when we disagree. If we have a difference in opinion, as long as it's respectful. If it's not, you want to sit here and start calling people names because that's just the only way you know how to communicate, you get muted. It's just that simple. I don't have time and energy for that. I'm a grown man. But, if you want to have a respectful conversation and dialogue and actually, break these things down, I'm here to talk about it. Like I said, I love hearing from you guys. I appreciate everybody's input, because I do understand that we all have different experiences and think completely different on things. And I love that about, us as people. So, like I said, just go ahead and put it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, this is Dark, and I'm going to wrap it up. That's all I got. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.
All right, not bad. Not a bad video. Once again, I don't play Marvel Rivals, but I have been seeing a lot about this whole healers going on strike thing. And as somebody, that's funny. The healer strike is over. That's funny. That's funny. As somebody who plays healer a lot, and I repeat, a lot, when it comes to like a game like Pokemon Unite 5v5, bro, if there's one thing, even when I'm playing DPS, if there's one thing that I'm not doing is insulting my healer, bro. Hell no. Hell no. I think I saw a dude, he said it. I play League of Legends. If there's one thing we know not to do is to insult our healer, bro. Never do that. Because trust me, you're going to feel it when you don't have a healer on your team versus a team that does have the healer on it, bro. You're going to feel it. Trust me. But otherwise, that's pretty much going to be it. I did once again just scrolled across this video, and I thought it was interesting enough to do a reaction to. So without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.